So you're thinking about cultivating communities of practice within your organization. Okay, what are you going to grow? Do you know what a community of practice is? Do you know what its purpose is? Well, a community of practice has been defined as a group of people who share a passion for something they know how to do and who interact regularly to learn how to do it better. And the purpose? To create, expand, and exchange knowledge and to develop individual capabilities. Well, you should be thinking about developing 3 key areas: community, domain, and practice. Domain, the area of shared inquiry and of the key issues. Community, the relationships among members and the sense of belonging. And practice, the body of knowledge, the methods, the stories, cases, tools, and documents. So, is this the right thing to plant? Well, before you do, you need to ask yourself some questions. Who is your community? What are the different layers of your community? What practices is your community engaged with? What's the domain your community shares? How can you connect with your community? And what are the issues your community is facing? Answered? Yes? Move on. No? Well, keep thinking, asking, and learning. So, you know your community, you know their practices and the domain. Theory, theory, theory. What about practicalities? Are your participants willing to learn together over time? Will it be considered valuable? Do these people have enough time to access and interact? Is there a community of practice working already in this domain? And can your organization offer support? So, you've got this far. All boxes ticked. All equipment is at the ready. Let's start plowing. What? You're going to plant that seed there? Think some more. This community of practice is not about you or your needs. It's about the participants. You foster communities of practice. You don't create them. Nurturing healthy communities is more like tending a garden than building an engine. They thrive on the personal energies and relationships of members. It must build on existing identities or invite participation with the promise of new identities. They provide homes for identities. They're not as temporary as teams, and unlike business units, they're organized around what matters to their members. Identity is important because in a sea of information, it helps us sort out what we pay attention to, what we participate in, and what we stay away from. Having a sense of identity is a crucial aspect of learning in organizations. And that means plowing in straight lines isn't going to work. Communities of practice are organic. Designing them is more a matter of shepherding their evolution than creating them from scratch. The key to designing for evolution is to combine design elements in a way that catalyzes community development. Successful communities of practice generate excitement, relevance, and value to attract and engage members. Nothing can inspire a community like a sense of aliveness. Remember, you're plowing the soil so that it is ready for things to grow. You're not determining where things will grow. And you've decided to plant what? Communities thrive because they deliver value to the organization, to the teams on which community members serve, and to the community members themselves. Value is the key to community life, because participation in most communities is voluntary. Don't try to plant corn if the community values cabbage. And now you want everyone to water the corn? Hold on! Good community architecture invites many different levels of participation. We used to think that we should encourage all community members to participate equally, but because people have different levels of interest in the community, this expectation is unrealistic. Let some water the cabbages. Let some weed the field. Let some watch the cabbages grow. let some plant strawberries. And you want it all to grow where? Sorry, let it grow where there is soil. Like a local neighborhood, dynamic communities are rich with connections that happen both in the public places of the community, meetings, websites, and the private space, the one-on-one networking of community members. The key to designing community spaces is to orchestrate activities in both public and private spaces that use the strength of individual relationships to enrich events and use events to strengthen individual relationships. And you want to harvest the crop when? To speak of communities in a theoretically grounded manner is to acknowledge that communities emerge through interactions rather than design, and gain their richness, complexity, and opportunities for learning through their multi-generational structures and member pathways for movement through the community. The crop will be ready when it's ready. This does not mean that it cannot be encouraged, however. Of course, the kind of personal investment that makes for a vibrant community is not something that can be invented or forced. The last thing you want is for community participation to be perfunctory. But sometimes it takes a bit of prodding for people to interact enough to discover the value of learning together. There's nothing that says that these communities have to be purely spontaneous. Just know that in the end, the success of the community will depend on the energy that the community itself generates, not on an external mandate.